everybody. It is so good to have you here with me. Imagine
if you have your vision as the car with the right team.
Imagine how quick that vision will come into the footsteps. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence. It's that time of the morning again. Well, this is Tuesday morning with your host Carl Hendricks here on the Insides Show. Thank you so much for tuning in again. I would love you, please, if you don't mind, to subscribe and hit that bell every single time. You'll know that we are online. It will be our greatest honor and privilege to spend some time in your lounge, wherever you are on your multimedia platforms. Today, not different than all the other days, we are busy with book reviews, and today in the studio we have a remarkable person here, and you know him. He's like a regular in the studio, but every single time when this gentleman, the Apostle Attie Van Nel, will be in the studio, every single time he comes from a different angle. This time he surprised us again with a wonderful book entitled Why Mary Didn't Miscarry. I tell you, this is a book for not just for lay people, it's for leaders. This is a book not just for preachers and pastors, but it's also a book for the private sector. You can apply this book in your work environment. It's just something to help you through. Most of all, I tell you where this book helped me a lot is in my personal life. The reason why I enjoy this book so much is after every single chapter, there's a workstation, like work questions, similar to what I have here in my hand here. There's questions that you can answer, and then that helps a lot. You can also use this as a devotional. You may put it next to your bed, and every day just read a portion of it, and at the end of the week, you start answering all those questions. And if you prayerfully go through it, you'll be able to get such clarity and insight around this book. Well, it gives me such great honor, such great pleasure to welcome my host, my guest rather. He co-hosts most of the time.
I was your host the last time.
Yeah, I remember that. So it seems like I'm stuck on my last interview with you.
On the 100th show. Yes.
So why Mary Didn't Miscarry? We are busy with book reviews, and I'm so glad and thrilled to have the Apostle Attie Van Nel with us here. A warm welcome, and tell us about yourself. Who is Attie Van Nel?
Good morning, Doc. Good morning to the viewers, and thank you so much for the invite. I was born in a small town outside of Kimberley called Barkley West. When I was 4 months old, my parents relocated to Kimberley, where I was raised up to grade 12. And then after school, I went to the University of the Free State, where I was very involved with student politics. We were only the second batch of people allowed. The university only opened the previous year for black students, and only in my year did it open the residences to us. So it was a very
fresh, groundbreaking.
Very fresh, very groundbreaking. I made my way up into student politics, and then I found my wife there. I found Mel there.
Right.
It took me 9 months to pursue her. She wanted to have nothing to do with me.
Wow.
And
I don't blame her, you know. I don't blame her, you know. I had another guy yesterday, Charlie Peterson, on the line in his book review, and I was having jokes with him. He's Dr. Charlie Peterson. I said, Charlie, when I look at your wife, I don't know how she get married. She married you. So I don't blame Mel for taking 9 months to get used to your face. You know?
Full cycle, 9 full months to birth that relationship.
What you must not forget, maybe Mel was thinking of the dark, tall, and handsome.
I think it may have had something to do with...
You qualified maybe on the handsome and the dark.
And the dark, but not on the tall. It was a tall order for me.
Yeah.
Thereafter, I worked a little, she worked a little, and I found the Lord there in Bloem, in the AFM, under the leadership of a pastor called Philippines. You really exposed me and accelerated my growth. We moved back to Kimberley, started a business in the training environment, in line with my training. I'm a HR practitioner by training. and I'm a teacher by calling. And we then relocated to Joburg in 2006. We served here.
Yes.
It's where we met some of the two best years of my life.
Yes.
Under your leadership and preparation, growth really took place here. Opened my eyes, dealt with the blinkers. The Lord called me back to Kimberley. We pastored the church that my father planted. And then thereafter, we started another church. And then thereafter, we handed it over, came back to Joburg. We love Joburg. We're here 3 years now. And we've got 4 kids. CJ is a final year student in political studies. Gwyneth is a second year student in drama. Arthur's a first year student in business. And then we have a lad lam Joshua. He's got my father's names, Joshua Fani. So that's us.
You mustn't let Joshua get in touch with with Jesse, my youngest.
Okay.
Because at one of my birthday parties, he reckoned that I practice on Xavier, that's my eldest.
Okay.
I practice on Evangelique, that's the middle, my daughter. He said, now only I know how to father.
He said that publicly. Lamb's guts.
You in practice now. Listen, let us get into this wonderful book. For our viewers out there, we've got this wonderful book out here, Why Mary Didn't Miscarry. Please, I want you at the end, towards the end of the show, we'll let you know where exactly to get the hold of this book. But this is such a beautiful book and such an easy read. What I like about books, and specifically the size, is you can handle it, the paper, everything feels so good about it. I always enjoy reading books, but this one you should get on your shelf. We are busy with our book review. As you know, we're doing week after week. Every week we've got another different author on. My next question to the author here with Why Mary Didn't Miscarry: why did the Holy Spirit rebuke you concerning this book? Because I noticed right in the beginning you mentioned that in the book. What's the story around that?
About the Saturday morning.
Yes. Yeah.
I woke up on the Saturday morning of the 19th of December, Saturday the 14th. And it's my custom to make time in December before we go on holiday to just set some private and quiet time aside to hear God about the vision for the next year. What is the goals? And then I discuss it with Mel, we discuss it with the children, and we know where we're going as a family. And particularly in 2019, what was important was 2020 was not just going to be a new year, but it was also going to be the first year of a new decade. And the last decade that we would have 3 of our children in the house. So by the time it was 10 years from that morning, there would be a certain level of handover of the family vision and custodianship to those kids. It's the most critical 10 years in our life. And then the Holy Spirit started speaking to me and taking me on a very painful trip down memory lane and exposed to me personal weaknesses that I really did not know I had.
Sure.
And I'm a man of self-reflection. I'm a man who can be hard on myself. You will know, you introduced me to the temperaments. And as a choleric yourself, you will know that a choleric can take a 10-pound hammer and beat himself up. And somehow through all of that, I missed that I was never a good steward of vision.
Wow.
So the Holy Spirit showed me countless examples over the years of great business opportunities, personal development opportunities, family bonding opportunities, kingdom opportunities that I grasped, that burned in my heart, that I was passionate about, and I never fully executed. I buried dreams along the way of my life that never died. And I got a rebuke. For example, I had 6 books, 7 books on my laptop with titles. Chapter is divided.
Complete.
No.
Outline.
The outline is complete.
Which stage? Okay.
Yeah.
You just need to develop it.
I know what I want to do here.
Yes,
One of them was on maturity. So it has the title. Maturity Ain't No Child's Play is the name of the book. And I have the chapters divided. I never finished it because the next thing took over, became so passionate. And I disregarded the fact that Mel bought into it. You know, I started with my mom, and it's not easy sharing this with the viewers this morning and having opened my heart like that in the book. But what's the point if we can't show our wounds and put our cards on the table?
Exactly.
I enrolled for my master's degree in 2012, NMMU. I knew exactly what my dissertation was going to be about. I discussed it even before the time we were still doing the subjects, and then in the second year we would focus on the mini dissertation. I knew exactly what it was going to do. I was going to write about the renewable energy sector in the Northern Cape and how implicitly it is as abusive as the mining sector to its host communities. It's just a farce, and how its economic model does not lead to broad participation for black people. So I knew what I was going to do. Something happened in about April, May that year, personal crisis, and I convinced my wife and kids to get out of the program. I promised them I will restart in.
So you shelved it again?
I shelved it.
Yeah.
I shelved
So just back to the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit literally rebuked you for not completing. Now, based on this question, can you share with us your thoughts on going full cycle? Because somebody out there is watching this program on the Inside Show. And we are doing a book review, and it's in your book. And people sometimes have the habit, and all of us, if it's knitting, you know, there's some of the older people, they started knitting a jersey. They're busy with their jersey for the last 4 years. And it's a fact.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
it's 4 winters past.
Yeah.
But it could be for anything. Guys working on their engines, never finish. Guys doing building cupboards for their houses, never finish it. Saying that they will finish the ceilings. I'm just looking at practicality, not even the theory or the study around it. How did you get to the book then? How did you work with the Holy Spirit to get full cycle?
Now, in the last 10, 15 years particularly, there's a popular sermon in church circles that has overemphasized the role of haters in our lives. Now, I'm not saying there's no role that we must enlighten people about our haters, but it went too far.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to deal with in the book is there are things that Attie Van Nel dropped the ball with that has got nothing to do with my haters. If I registered in January with a bank to start a savings plan for 5 years, and I abandoned it 8 months, 7 months later to deal with a temporary crisis, that has got nothing to do with my haters. That is my own inability to convert my passion for my goal into endurance. And so what the book tries to do is to use my instances of poor stewardship of my vision to entice the reader into a journey of his or her own. On the show this morning are viewers who are tuned in who promised themselves years ago to go back to night school and finish matric.
Yes.
To start the tertiary studies, to start with Virgin Active, to start a savings plan. There's a lot of passionate things that we started with and left it in the middle.
Just on that, how will this book help them now?
This book will help because this book studies the life of Mary, the mother of Jesus. Because Mary is a character that missed me my entire life. I can't believe how I know Paul and Daniel and Joseph and Timothy so intimately inside out. You can wake me up at 2 a.m. and ask me about Paul. I'll tell you about Iconium and Lystra. I know nothing about Mary. And here is this finisher. A finisher. She was never called to pregnancy. She was called to delivery. She got one chance. She never went back to God and said, I lost the baby, I miscarried, or I aborted at any stage. She got the instruction. What did she do? And I studied what she did. And I'm sharing with the reader what she did. And I started applying what she did.
Right. I don't want to give too much away in the beginning. So I'm getting you excited now. I can just see you. You're warming up now. You're like in the ring now. You just first 2 rounds is just warming up rounds here. My question to you now: why do you use biblical principles to approach the corporate, the private world, the private sector, business and in the corporate world? Because I will think, for where I sit, book titled "Why Mary Didn't Miscarry." I understand this, but I would think they will don't want to have anything to do with spirituality and anything. How did you manage to do that? And I know you're doing it already because you're on a road trip with the book. You're doing East London soon.
This weekend we're in East London.
Right. So by that time, you're doing the first day you do corporate.
Yes.
And the day after that you do church.
We do church hardcore.
Hardcore. But now tell me, how did you manage to break in with a title like this and marry the mother of Jesus into the corporate world? You talk to me now.
Now, I want to be very unapologetic that my worldview can be found between Genesis 1 and Revelations 22. That's how I see the world. In other words, I don't approach politics from the view of what the political party's manifesto is. I approach politics from the scriptures. I approach the economy from the scriptures. I approach inequality from the scriptures. Raising my children from the scriptures. Submission to authorities from the scriptures. So that's my worldview.
I'm tempted now.
Yes, sir.
Shelve my question for a while. Shelve my question. I want to ask you a question on a question.
Yes.
On top of that. Now, based on laws that they want to pass about a woman having 4 men, and so how do you line that up with the text in that whole story?
Yeah. You see my difficulty.
Yeah.
My hands are tied behind my back. That's how I understand the word salvation. At the cross, I surrender my views. And I make my views the views that's in the Bible. That's why I come to church on a Sunday. I don't come to be excited. I come to get a study on what the Bible say so that I can take that study, use it as a torch on my life, and realign my thinking with what I've just been taught on Sunday morning. So salvation is a continual realignment of my life. Once the scriptures has a position on something, it doesn't really matter what my thinking is on it, because I've surrendered my view. So the scriptures are not supportive.
It depends where you are. Do you understand the Mosaic side in the Old Testament?
Yes.
Or you want to get to the New Testament?
Both of them, pre and post cross.
Yeah.
I cannot find any post cross arrangement where either Jesus or any of the teachings of Paul, because Paul is our apostle. And when I say our, those who are formerly Gentiles, no longer Gentiles, formerly Gentiles. So everyone who's not a Jew. So I study Jesus, and then I study Paul hardcore, and then I study everyone else hardcore. So I cannot find where they is supportive of any such arrangement. But I do understand that we live under a liberal constitution, a sponsored constitution, a constitution that was long written pre-Codesa. It was only confirmed and endorsed at Codesa because the liberation movements were outsmarted at Codesa. And how do I know this? Once your former oppressor and his Eurocentric liberal sponsors from Europe are more happy about something than you are. I mean, the acclaim that we get for this constitution is so widespread. Can I make you one example?
You must just give me one, because you're going into social justice now.
Yeah.
And that's one of your pets. Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, what South Africans must realize is we have settled for a constitution that is going to empower things, not just today, for the next, until Jesus comes. It is what we have settled for at Codesa. So anyone can wake up any morning, and that is why homosexual couples can adopt. The constitution allows for it, and that is the constitution that we settled for. So more and more you will find that people go to the constitution and say, but the liberal values enshrined in here provides for 1, 2, and 3. And so in line with my worldview, that is founded in the Bible, unapologetically so, that proposition is not consistent.
Yeah. So how do you bridge now your book into the business arena?
Yes. So I'm unapologetic, because if we're gonna turn corporate South Africa around, we need a leadership style, a management style, and a business ethos that aligns with the Bible. So in other words, the current manager, when you're ill, calls you at home and asks, when are you back? But a believer manager will call you and say, listen, while you're at home, focus on your recuperation, we've got your back here in the office because we people-centered. We're not results-driven. We're people-driven. So if we can bring that ethos, so I'm unapologetic. Even in a corporate launch with this book, God was so graceful, He gave me a man by the name of Dr. David Molapo, who did the foreword of the book, who is probably, from the church point of view, our most exposed church ambassador into the marketplace in South Africa and the globe. And I mean, he is a known ambassador that for whatever motivation or inspiration or leadership development is going to bring you, you will find that basis in the scripture. So on that one, we're unapologetic. And once people see, in especially the corporate launches, the point you made about the title earlier on, no, it's not preaching, it's not a sermon. Mary Didn't Miscarry. It's actually the catchiness of the title. But we're actually talking about vision in the book and the tenacity that's required to bring it full circle.
So if you want to attract the corporate world, what do you do? How do you go about? Because if you pick the phone up or you connect with somebody or you want to bring a pool of CEOs and MDs and CFOs in one room and you say, I want to share on my book, how do you sell it?
Yes, interesting question. My calling is more like the calling of a Joseph or a Nehemiah or a Daniel. I've had my 10 years behind the pulpit, behind the flock as a church presiding pastor. I will never be that again. My job now, along with Mel and my family, is we support vision. We associate. We are supportive and submit to a particular vision so that it can be fulfilled. So my job is, like a Joseph and like a Daniel, I'm an export product of the church into the corporate environment. I dress like the corporate environment. I speak the language, but below my three-piece are priestly garments.
Yes. I like that.
I'm a Trojan horse.
I like that.
Yes.
I like
so,
that.
So when I pick up the phone and I talk to a corporate executive or the manager of HR or people development, when I engage him, he can hear my lingo that I understand the boardroom. Because I don't start with the title of the book, it will put him off.
Yes.
I start with the content of the book. I say to him, in the last 30 years, I'm convinced, as you know, sir or madam, that the work done in the world to teach vision was very successful. Everyone now knows the importance of vision and living a life that is goal-oriented. You can even ask a 6-year-old. He will tell you, this year I want to be first in the class. That's vision. So already he has a awareness, a consciousness of a goal-oriented life. So he understands. Then I say to him, secondly, understanding vision does not mean we're going to complete it. Then I say to him, thirdly, if an individual can easily walk away from his personal vision, abandon it, abort it, miscarry it, what about the company vision? That is not his primary vision. Right, so you can go for 3 days to strat plan, develop a nice plan for the next 5 years. People can leave that strat plan in the cubbyhole, never see it again, use it to light a bright fire at home. He then starts to understand what I'm saying. He says, that's exactly what we struggle with. We struggle with follow through. We struggle with implementation. There's nothing wrong with the vision of this municipality or NGO or state-owned entity or private company. Our problem is not our vision or our values or our mission or our strategy. Our problem is how people don't finish. Then I say,
I'm your guy.
I'm your guy.
And I'm your guy.
Yeah,
and
I'm your guy and Mary's your girl. Mary's your girl.
Everybody out there, I just want to remind you, I'm on the set here with the wonderful Apostle Attie Van Nel. I'm about to bring 2 fine gentlemen up onto the set now because we're going to venture into a very interesting part here. But Attie Van Nel is the author of the book, Why Mary Didn't Miscarry. You should have this book on the shelf. Before we continue and bring this young man up, I've got a final question for you. What techniques do you use in the writing? How do you approach the writing of the book? And finally, can we expect more books? But give me an idea about your writing techniques. How do you put pen to paper? How do you flow in that for somebody watching out there that have a concept, a vision, an objective, dream? It wants to bring the fulfillment of that. How do you bring that writing to paper? I mean, the thought to paper.
I am an extremely busy man on a corporate side because of the demand that the business places on our life. Then I also provide apostolic cover to 4 young, beautiful couples and the churches that they pastor. And we have about 4 or 5 other mentorship relationships, 4 fathering relationships and about 4 mentorship relationships. And we serve the body in the country. So I had a very tough mentor on the book because I shared the concept of the book with Dr. Malapo. And the first thing he did was to give me a timeline for when to expect certain chapters. So we'll talk about the keys later. So I was now under accountability to deliver on certain timelines. So there was no time for procrastination and coming with lame excuses every 2 or 3 weeks, but everyone knows how busy I am. So in the acknowledgement, there's a guy, Gabriel, who is in Kabeja. He does a lot of work. He's a distinguished author himself, but he does a lot of developmental work with new authors, because this was my first book. And I went to Gabriel and said, look, I'm under severe pressure. I must produce this book. How do I do it? And he said to me, but you fly a lot, and you drive a lot, and you alone a lot. Do audio recordings and forward them to me. Speak the chapter or part of the chapter. Forward it to me. I have people who will convert it, and then I send it back to you, and then you write the book as if you edit the book, because you already spoke it. I structure it, and then your actual writing is actually a form of editing. Now it's not really what I wanted to say. And then you take it out or you reshape it and you put an example, you take out an example. You also then assisted me with it to make it so practical that it's a workbook, because it was actually written for anyone between grade 9 and a distinguished, extraordinary professor. Anyone from sports to an NGO, a housewife, a student, anyone can read the book, because it deals with personal vision.
Yeah. Let's get into the book. For the viewers out there, I just want to remind you there's 3 most important keys of life that I firmly admire around the book. The first key I will call simply that you should protect your vision. And I'm going to ask the author to explain around what he means by protecting your vision. And then I'm going to have some extra people on the set here that will most probably discuss around vision. Then the second one is how to grow your vision. So you need to know how to protect it, how to grow it, and then finally how to activate your vision. Because it doesn't help at all if you have a vision if you don't know how to protect the vision. And just on that one, the first key in your book, and I'm going to read it to the listeners out there. Your first key is simply who you share the promise with first matter. So you receive something, and who you share it with, that matters, through the lenses of Mary. So let's dig into the book.
I saw an extraordinary thing in the life of Mary. 16 years old, the angel appears to her. Mary's just going about her business, planning her life, setting her goals, doing what 16-year-olds do. Next moment, the angel appears, and the angel says, you're pregnant, and you will conceive, and you will bring forth, and this will be the impact of this child. Any woman, especially a first-time mother, it's different with the second or the third children. A first-time mom has an inexplicable biological bond with her own biological mother. From the moment she's pregnant, she wants her own mother in her life more than the mother used to be in her life up until that point, up until the delivery. Mary doesn't run home. So I found it peculiar that a 16-year-old has a miracle pregnancy. She has this message to share with someone immediately, and then she doesn't go home, she goes to her aunt called Elizabeth, in her 60s, also 6 months pregnant. So it is awkward that Mary decides to share the vision with the first person to hear it. Is someone who represents the future where she's now headed to. Because in her 60s, Elizabeth herself carries a miracle pregnancy. So Mary chooses against sharing this with her mom as a first audience. But she chooses an Elizabeth someone whom, when she gets there, doesn't have to explain herself, but also someone who doesn't have to answer by saying, I can only imagine. Someone who can answer by saying, I understand what you're going through. But because Elizabeth also carries a miracle pregnancy, she will never be jealous of or in competition with Mary. Because I cannot be jealous of what you have, I have my own. Right, so mine is a safe environment where I can help you to incubate what it is that you carry. But the important thing is here, I have lost so many business opportunities in my private life because out of excitement, I started sharing with people who's in my inner circle. From a trust point of view. Unqualified people who can give you advice. I wonder, Dr. Hendricks, how many people are divorced? Because of who they told first. I think I want to divorce.
I can think of a handful of
You get what I'm saying?
And there was no need to divorce. Just the wrong.
They confided with the wrong person first. Because the person who you select to say what is in your heart, it is so crucial. It is so crucial. Many of the viewers don't understand that the people around them, remember the book actually deals with uncommon vision, big stuff, life-changing stuff. Not just your life, the life of those around you, even your community, even your town, even nations. Right. So we deal here with uncommon vision, which requires uncommon approach. These are not ordinary things. So many of the viewers don't realize that many of the people are in their inner circle, even if they love them, are wholly unqualified to be the first audience of what it is you say. They can't even picture you in what you say.
So what you say, you should protect your vision. At this point in time, I would love to bring two fine pastors in that is really, really wonderful millennial pastors. I've got a wonderful pastor here joining with us here on the set from the diamond country, the diamond city, Kimberley. And I'm hoping that we will receive one or two of those diamonds and not just the beers. But I'm saying, we have a wonderful guy here by the name of Chancelin, Pastor Chancelin. You're doing great work. I see you on Facebook. I love what you do. You're fresh. You're cutting edge. You in the face. You're young. You're vulnerable. I just want to welcome you, Chancelin. Warm welcome to you. Tell us a little about yourself in short.
Thank you, Dr. Hendricks and Pastor Xavier and the team and leadership of Crystal. Apostle Attie, thanks for also bringing me in. Just a bit about myself. Married to a beautiful diamond girl from the diamond city, Sumane, and got two beautiful daughters and a dog named Becky's. So I think that's my family where I grew up in church. Actually, I'm from the East Rand. Yeah, in Johannesburg.
What? Where in the East Rand?
Boksburg. I was born in Regenpark.
Wow.
And then lived just outside most of my life, actually, in the East Rand. Moved to Kimberley around 2011, and that's been home ever since.
It is just the other day. Just the other day. And you're comfortable in Kimberley.
Yeah, I think
you believe that's where God called you.
Yes. You know, I think where my family is where home is, and that God has established us there, and then He's planted us there as well. For the work that lies ahead.
With me also on the set is Xavier. He's also campus pastor here at Crystal Church. Xavier, just a little bit about yourself for the viewers that don't know you. Sometimes we just take it for granted that people should know you, but can you just give us a little background? And then when you're done with that, pose the first question to our author here around protecting your vision and anything around that.
100%. Yes, I'm Xavier Hendricks, and of course, Dr. Carl Hendricks is my father. So you would know that I grew up in church as well. All I know is church, and I always tell people I was that kid that was crawling under the chairs. And there's this one guy that says he was at church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I topped him. I was at church every day. If Monday was this, Tuesday was that, Wednesday was prayer meeting, this was that, and I was that baby. Grew up in church, and then naturally started getting involved in church. I was involved in the band, music team. Then I was involved in camera crew. And so I think God...
Don't forget a spiritual dance.
Hey, I was involved. I was one of the first guys there to be part of the dance.
He helped us out. He helped us out in spiritual dance.
I did some clips there.
No, you don't want those clips. No, those are the ones you don't want. So that was my upbringing, and of course I think God orchestrated it that way, because then what I started doing later was all those things amalgamated, and then in 2010 I started running a thing called The Factory. a youth group, and that became quite popular in and amongst South Africa and even abroad. And I started traveling frequently overseas and mixing with a lot of influential people. And so, yeah, that's my journey in ministry. And right now, yeah, I'm preaching at Crystal Church, and I'm involved in that very intricate part of that fiber over there.
Great. Can you pose your first question to our author around why Mary didn't miscarry, and specifically around protect your vision?
So I think it's interesting how you brought out that she went to her aunt first, and I think a lot of people make that mistake. Like the question you say, how many people are in positions where they shouldn't have been, but because they spoke to the wrong people, they made bad decisions that actually led to divorces or to bad business decisions. I would say this: if there is somebody, or this is the question I would pose them, if there is somebody that made that mistake and gets to a place where they're like, maybe it's too late to turn around now, what do you do if you've already made that mistake and you need to find your way back to your original, let's say you lost track of your original vision. How do you get back there?
God is the giver of all vision. And then secondly, God is gracious. So God is not the type of God that will give you something, you mess it up, and then he writes you off. The book sells a simple message so that the next time God births, because he's going to birth many different things in your life, over the course of your life, in different dimensions of your life. God is very interested in a particular viewer watching now, giving him a new vision into how to keep the family together, how to start that business, how to go back to school, how to recommit to the ministry in which he's serving and really discharging his responsibilities with faithfulness and commitment. So the first part of that the viewer must hear me very clearly on. I've messed up 6 opportunities to write books, and still God didn't write me off. He gave me another concept, and that one saw the light of day, and it's there now. In the book, I give examples of business opportunities that could have changed my life, my family's life, my extended family's life, people connected to us, and so many other people that I just messed up. But God is still giving new vision now that I'm approaching differently. Now I'm applying the keys. I'm careful who I share it with. I remember a vision at inception stage is very vulnerable and small, and your faith in it must still grow. Your skill set to birth it must still be established. Your associations through which God will enhance it must still be formed. So the only thing that thing needs now is protection. And to take it out prematurely, announce it, make it known, can kill it off. Can even kill your confidence. Can I make an example? Can I say Joseph? Joseph has a dream that his brothers bow in front of him. He doesn't know this key. Who you share with first matters. He goes and shares with the people who's in the dream. They conspire, turn on him, and actually agree to kill him. That was already in their hearts. The fact that they didn't follow through on it is irrelevant.
Apostle, family members.
Family members.
Yeah, close by.
Close by.
You think it's safe?
Yes. Now, in the book, there's a subchapter. I deal with the concept of home ground advantage. And I show how God intended blood to be the first line of being complementary, supportive, and how the enemy has perverted that. In fact, even believers confess the concept of sibling rivalry. It's from the pit of hell, but we have normalized it. When it happens, we say, yeah, no, it's like that. Brothers don't get along. To hell with it. To hell with the devil. So I'm saying here, when you go into that chapter, much of what has gone wrong with many people in their lives was from the places of where people love them and trust them and shared a womb with them. They are not necessarily suitable as the first audience to hear the uncommon thing that God planted in you.
Just on that note, I want to give Pastor Chesler an opportunity to pose a question on that protect your vision.
I think one of the first questions that I ask, especially coming from a millennial perspective, is I believe, we've seen it with Joseph. I think I asked something similar to it, but young people are dreamers. They have these great dreams. We see it in their captions. We see it on their posts. We see it, they keep you back from where you're going. This generation is filled with posts and captions. One of the questions I'm asking is, based on that, people sharing their vision or wanting to achieve certain things, is it too big for you at a certain age? Because some people think, I mean, we're speaking now in regards to ministry, that the peak time for any pastor to come into ministry and feel that he'll be accepted by his peers is around past 40.
So you basically went in 13 years ahead of time.
Exactly. So when is it too early for anyone to achieve that dream or that business or anything that God has placed within their life?
When God decided that the biggest thing he ever going to do on the face of the earth was the birth of Jesus, sending Jesus as our salvation. Biggest thing is actually the resurrection, but now there can't be a resurrection or a crucifixion if Jesus isn't born. God played this trump card through the hands of a 16-year-old girl. There I throw the whole theology out of God having any generational preference. At the same time that Mary is pregnant at 16, Elizabeth is pregnant at 60. So God visits all generations all the time. If someone has the dream, that person is old enough for it. Now, having the dream is not the license for execution without experience. Mary was favored to be the mother of Jesus. But favor does not supplant experience or process. That is why Mary needed other things. So if there's something, if I could take a screwdriver and fix something in the millennial mind, go from house to house, drag millennials out into the street like the Middle Ages and fix something, it would be to reassure them of their enormous gifting and favor, but to plead with them that favor is insufficient for the execution of vision. Mary never had permission of God because of that favor to disregard anyone else. Can I shock you? What Mary carries is 100 times, million times, billion times more significant than what Elizabeth carries. Mary carries Jesus. Elizabeth carries John. So Mary is in calling much more significant than Elizabeth. But Mary needs Elizabeth. It's important that millennials watch who formed the relationship. Elizabeth didn't walk behind Mary daily and try to impose her experience and her knowledge and impartation. Mary went in pursuit of it. If we can fix that order, we can make sure that millennials convert those big dreams that you're talking about into actual reality.
Yeah. From where I sit, I just most probably just want to share a little around that. Is that there are times that millennials already walk into the big vision, but because there's an end product, they want the end product like now.
Yes, sir.
But they're already in the big vision.
Yes.
The second thing is they should believe in themselves, because if you look at David's age, it was 16.
16.
If you look at Jeremiah's age, it was 14. If you look at Mary, it's 16. God is not scared for age. That's a given. If you look at Gideon, he was hiding,
Yes.
and he did something down there in the wine press, and God called him there, and he said, "I'm the least among all the clans." So you underestimate yourself, but God has this big view and vision and objectives about you. So what I would love to say to those as 13, 14, 15, 16, 20, 28, under 30, under 40, as Pastor Chesley mentioned, you're already in the vision, but you should see it. It's just a process to get to the ultimate goal. So when you have a dream, it's a big thing. But it doesn't mean like when you travel from here to Cape Town, that when you're in Beaufort, you're in Cape Town.
No.
You're on your way there. But it's
Yes.
already part of the journey.
And many things can still happen.
And it's part of the journey.
You part. And you have covered some distance.
A lot of this.
You have covered some distance.
I just want to, before Xavier comes in, I want to get to the second point. I tell you why I want to get to the second point. I want to get the 3 points through, and then we can go any which way. So no problem. So the second point is on the second key in your book is simply find Elizabeth, your growth partner. Yes. Very deliberate. I will call it grow your vision. But you should find that right person that will grow your partner. And in the beginning, we mentioned that don't share this beautiful dream with the wrong people. That's what you say.
That's what we say.
Then when you're done there, then you say, okay, now that I have this vision, who's going to be the person or the organization or the grouping that I can come along to propel and to springboard what God already released in my heart? Look, it's not a surprise. And the person, when you arrive at the right place, the people will not be surprised by your dream because the person will not be intimidated.
And they can't be intimidated. They can't be intimidated. So watch this.
Yeah.
When Elizabeth fell pregnant 6 months ago, in the 60s, she went into hiding for 5 months. Obviously, she had to go and prepare in private to build a certain tenacity and resolve, so that when she comes out in 5 months, your tummy shows, because there were going to be critics ready. Now, as pastoral as we are on this table this morning here, we would not take kindly when we hear one of our aunts deep into her 60s are pregnant. I mean, we will say, come on now, auntie, you don't beg your own grandchildren, man. you. Right? So Elizabeth knew there's a certain level of criticism awaiting you that can be so severe, it can abort the fetus. Mary went to find someone who has completed the process, because favor does not replace the need for process. Being called does not cancel submission. Nowhere did God say to Mary, you're so favored. The angel never said, you're so favored you don't need anyone. He said, no, you were chosen. But now, you're going to need some people, because at 16 you were never pregnant. At 16 you know nothing about nothing.
We don't deny that you have the call.
Not at all.
We're looking at young up and coming pastors or any
In fact,
leader.
we marvel
or business. We don't deny all those things.
Yes.
You are, but there's a process.
There's a process. I said at the morning of the handover of Crossover City Church in the theater in Kimberley to Chase, I used these words. I said, he's the real deal, and he will go ahead of me. You will go ahead of me. So I expect him to be of greater impact. I saw at the height of our ministry about 450 to 500 people on a Sunday morning. That was the height. Certain things happen. It's okay. It should have been much better. It wasn't. You will be there even before he's 30. And then anything after that is, and not just in numbers. I'm talking about impact. I'm talking about a lot of other things. But Mary pursued Elizabeth.
I want a question.
Yeah.
If you take that same theological mindset that you applying to Mary, how would you then apply that to David's scenario? Similar scenarios as far as the process, but the predecessor or the guy that went before wasn't happy with his success. How did David manage? Because David still said,
that's a brilliant question. Now, let me be fair towards millennials.
Yeah.
I cannot sit here this morning in good conscience and act as if everything that's wrong with the world, the generations before you had nothing to do with it. Animosity, like Saul, is one of the things that my generation is bequeathing to you. And young people can see right through it. They can see, but this atmosphere is so toxic with competitiveness and jealousy and envy that I'm not grown here. I'm smothered. I'm held back. Fair question. In the book, I give you at least 5 requirements of your Elizabeth. Let me give you 1 year and leave the reader to discover the rest. The life pattern of your Elizabeth will dovetail with your life pattern. Many things where Chase come to me and he starts talking. I don't interrupt him, but in my heart I can see where this conversation is. I've been there. because the similarities are shockingly similar. That is why it's your Elizabeth.
So are you saying he was attracted to the right growth partner? Because it's similar. God will not, if you're an engineer,
Yes.
God will not send you to a dentist.
No,
That's what you
he
say.
doesn't understand the pressures of an engineering company.
Exactly.
He's got no clue. If
Yeah.
a dentist got one tooth wrong,
Yeah.
we can replace it with another false tooth.
Okay.
In engineering, it's different. But I want to make this point. Check this thing out here. Elizabeth went into hiding for 5 months. Mary went into hiding by Elizabeth for only 3 months. If you find your right growth partner, her job is to cut your processes. If you go through everything that your father went through, then your father failed you. It's one of the tests of his ability to prepare you. He's supposed to make sure that your growth process, obviously he cannot father you in a way that avoids the pain. You're going to cry many nights. You'll cry yourself to sleep. You're going to have the heartaches. You're going to have the pain. You're going to have the moments where you doubt your calling. You're going to have the moments where you want out. That's normal. That's natural. It's part of the package. But it cannot be at the scale that it was for him.
Maybe just back to Xavier's question on David, specifically around David. Rather interesting. God called David looking after sheep. The prophet Samuel is there. Is there any other person here? No, it's just a little boy out there. Bring him here, anoint him. Cut a long story short. From the point of anointing to crowning, that's the process.
That's the process. That's the process.
For me, not so much if it's Saul or the devil himself. Because what you must not forget, the grace is already on him.
Yes.
The anointing is already on him.
Samuel's oil is on his forehead.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. But the process.
Can I put it a different way?
Okay, you go ahead.
God can call a shepherd, but he can't install a shepherd on a throne. He can call him as a shepherd, but he's going to install him only as a king. So he's got to go and do an understudy of what it is to be a king. He's got to live in the palace, serve in the army, and then when he's ready. So God can call you Mary, but you're going to have to avail yourself to be processed because we're making you a mom now.
Yeah.
We can call you as a young virgin, but you must be graduated into motherhood under the tutelage of someone.
Yeah, I want to go to the third key here, and then I'm going to call Cheslin in here for some.
Yeah, but he mustn't ask difficult questions anymore.
Yeah, then I'll call Pastor Cheslin in here to ask a little more questions. We busy with the book entitled "Why Mary Did Not Miscarry." You should get this book. What I like about this book, after every chapter, there's less questions. Like, let me take the first one quickly. This is the work questions. You can work it like with a whole group. You can work it as individual. You can also work this book next to your bed as a devotional. For instance, the question is, list a few dreams or goals you were passionate about and believe in it at one stage, but abandoned them midway, meaning you didn't complete it. So it's only when you challenge yourself that you realize, oh my God, I had 4 or 5 things that I wanted to do that's on my bucket list. And bucket list sounds like forever, but you should prioritize a bucket list. It doesn't matter what it is. At some stage you should get to it. This is the beauty about this book. We did the first key, who you share the promise with, that matters. Let's protect your vision. The second one, find your Elizabeth. That's your growth partner. And you grow your vision. The third key. So, I always have a joke with Apostle Van Nel, because back in the day when he was with me here on staff at Crystal Church, he'll come into my office and then he'll say there's 3 things that he wants to discuss with me. And then I will always laugh at him because he's very short and his jacket will be like this, and I would say, there's 3 things. And I said, oh yeah. Now I notice there's 3 keys. He makes life so simple. Some of the other authors have 10 keys and 11 keys. This guy said, you've got 3 keys that you need, and these 3 keys will take you through life. Just take the 3 keys of Mary. So the third key here of the apostle is connect to Joseph, your delivery partner, meaning activate your vision. So you can have a vision on paper, or most probably you can prevent not sharing the vision with the wrong
Yes.
person, and maybe you're good with that. And then you can align yourself with the right person or people or organization. But the activating side, the fulfillment, the full cycle side of it, this is your third part that you share a little about that. And then based on that, then I will ask Chancellor just to ask a question.
For anyone carrying an uncommon vision, you must expect uncommon hell.
I like that. You should say that again, because if your vision is elementary,
It's
So good.
nobody's gonna bother you.
No, because the devil is not threatened by the impact.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I dream of things that will make me rich, the devil will not probably be in my way.
Yeah.
But if I dream of wealth that must serve purposes other than only the Van Nel clan,
Yeah.
It's
My-
a problem.
it's a problem because its impact now is not limited to one man or a 6-person family. We're thinking community here, we're thinking the nation, we're thinking the continent. Now, for the scale of the dream that Mary carries, for what that boy will come do, it's not going to come easy. So the bigger the dream, the greater the preparation, and the bigger the hell. Mary leaves the house of Elizabeth after 3 months for preparation, for criticism that will come, family that may not support you, jealousy, competitiveness, and so on and so on and so on. But also the technical things, what to eat, how to watch your body, how not to stress too much. Those are the things she gets there, the technical things. Because sometimes we're too big on the dynamic, but we can be failing in the technical things, the excellence part. When Mary's 8 months pregnant, Joseph must go back to Bethlehem, 112 kilometers by foot or donkey. Someone with swollen feet, a back pains, all of the other symptoms of 8 months. Mary must now finish a distance of 112 kilos. Who is next to you in that season determines if we abort, if we go into early birth, or if we miscarry. Mary eventually delivers the baby. No mom present, no nurse, no midwife, no stork tea. Never did the friends come together to throw a stork tea. It's uncommon vision. She is going through an uncommon journey.
And can you imagine in that, you know you're carrying Jesus.
Yes.
Everybody should rave about it.
Yeah.
In fact,
And as a matter of fact, I don't want a 3-star hotel. Give me a 7-star hotel. I'm carrying Jesus.
I'm getting Jesus.
And by the way,
Yes.
everything should stop.
Yeah, and we need someone who wrote the textbook
Yes.
adverts.
Yeah.
Professor so and so
Yeah.
into gynecology.
Yeah.
Must be the gynecologist. And we need a surgeon to be there.
Yeah.
And the equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, we need stuff that is at Sunning Hill Private Hospital.
Now, Apostle Van Nel, if you consider Steve Jobs, there in a garage, and here on every table around here is an apple. There was no. It's like a similar story. There's no celebration. You struggle there and you make ends meet and whatever. But you should not abort your big dream, your objective, your dream and your vision. It's not for where you start. It's how you.
It's not for where you start.
Yes.
The barn hosts domesticated animals. So there's excrement in a barn. Excrement attracts flies.
Yes.
There's old oil of the engines
Yes.
and the what.
Yes.
Juxtapose that
Yeah.
with the maternity ward.
Yes.
It's not, I mean,
Chalk and cheese.
look at God.
Chalk and
Look
cheese.
at God.
Yeah.
And it's by design.
Yeah. This great God,
He designed
He
it like
created the heavens and the earth. He placed the sea and the mountains there.
He orders them.
His son.
His son.
In a stable.
Because God wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
That it will, I can make you the king of creation. I can give you all power in heaven, on the earth, and below the earth, and enter you into that creation through a barn.
Yeah.
So the book reaffirms that anyone can dream anything
Yes.
and anyone can achieve anything if the correct keys are followed. Now, the last thing I just want to say about Joseph, and this is important. If you go to Matthew 1 to read the genealogy of Jesus, you will not find Mary. So, Mary is the main character here, but Joseph is the key character.
Yeah. He's the maiden donor. Yeah.
Because Jesus is going to come through whoever is in the life of Joseph.
That lineage.
So if Mary was like girls are today, judge you by what you drive, where you stay. And don't judge you by what your call is, what your future plans are, what your vision is, and what your character is.
And your potential.
If Mary were like girls today, she would have never dated a carpenter. And today the book would have been Why Charmaine or Why Lebu Did Not Miscarry. And they don't get that. They don't get that because Mary is not in Matthew 1. Joseph is.
Yes.
So if she looked at Joseph the day he came to make the proposal, and she said, what are you driving? You're coming here with a taxi to our house. What do you think of me? You're currently still a student. Look at your jeans. It doesn't even have a name. Look at your phone. It doesn't have a proper name. Look at your what. And she doesn't consider the real things. It's not who Mary is. It's who Joseph is.
Yeah. No. Hold it there. I need to bring this young pastors in there with questions for you on this activation, because you might have the dreams. You might not share it with the wrong people. You tick that box. That's your keys.
That's
and
right.
then on your second key, you align yourself up with the right person.
Yes.
Let's ask question about the activation, that part of the vision.
I think, Doc, you mentioned things about the fact that it's not how you start, it's how you end. And I think for so many people, the moment they want to activate something and start something, they want this big bang. They want that let there be light moment. And what would you say for someone that wants that let there be light moment and it doesn't happen, but they don't tick the box to say, we started. The door was open.
We sit today and have this interview in a studio that compares in excellence and in content with the best in the country. In a building that can sit 4,000 people. That started with 8 people in 1992 in your lounge.
On the stoop.
Now, if we can get young people to make up their mind that instantaneous does not correlate with vision. If they can just keep themselves blind when instantaneous gets sold to them on social media by people who just from today to tomorrow, from today to tomorrow. Here we sit this morning. Here we sit in a massive work that the Lord has done. But he didn't do it in a year. He did it at the backdrop of much pain, betrayal. You have to pick yourself up again. If you sit with Doc and ask the crystal story, you will laugh, you will be inspired, you will also be sad. Because unless the story include all those dimensions, it's a fake story. So we don't want our young people to pursue fake vision, fake dreams, because it's a fake process. There is no such thing as instantaneous. So once we believe it, we set ourselves up for huge disappointment. Because nothing of value will be granted without it being tested. Some of the things, it's going to take us to press the restart button, to press the pause button, to stand back 2 steps and say, but I've messed this. I need to grow now. But what have I learned? I've taken the lessons. So to me, and again, who are the partners in your life when the things go wrong? Who's with you when you cry? Who's holding your hand on that 112-kilometer journey?
With a donkey.
With a donkey. Who says to you, don't feel bad, you're not holding us back? Who says to you, I'm in this thing with you?
Yes.
Because when they go into the maternity ward, in the absence of a nurse or a midwife, there's 2 ignorant people. But God will rather partner 2 ignorant people than allow someone with skill whose heart is not with them.
Yeah, I just want to most probably just mention this to Pastor Cheslin, based on the same Jesus. It took him 30 years with no results.
Wow.
Only 3.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer of compressed time. I firmly believe that everyone around the table and those watching my live stream, and watching our podcast here. I'm a firm believer that if you follow these 3 keys and you stay on track, that you will never have a bad retirement. That's a given.
Oh, come on.
It's a given because you will smile. Because you see, for 30 years, he wasn't seen as the Messiah. Within the last 3 years, things happened that never happened before. So he went through baptism, and you could see the miracles and the signs and the wonders, and in a jiffy, so severe that and you mentioned it in your book, it still stands up till today. She carried the Savior, but what a carrier. I want to give Pastor Xavier an opportunity to ask you a last question around this whole thing, and then
And a nice
and
question,
then-
one. Something
and-
easy.
and then
Why did we choose yellow on the cover page?
why do you see Mary and Joseph there? Is that really what moral donkey is this?
That's a Twitter.
No, man, because sorry, we on Mary, and I'm in my mind I'm connecting the story of David as well with his process and how and then when he gives over to Solomon, right? Solomon takes off on a high note already because of the work that was already done. So another part to that to Cheslin's question was more so also that somebody else has done a lot of the groundwork, like you said earlier. But then also I'm thinking there's no real story for you to tell if you haven't also been through some challenges yourself.
You should go through it.
So I preached the sermon the other day. My father called me afterwards and he said, "You wouldn't have been able to preach that 10 years ago." I'm like, what? He's like, because you didn't go through any of that 10 years ago. You see, you now went through some stuff. You now you paar klippe gekou and now you can actually speak about things that you know about. You know.
So when he started out preaching, it's like what I can't remember the preacher's name. I can't remember. I'm trying to think. But he said the following. He went down to his basement and all his tapes, old tapes, the cassettes was down there. And he decided to get a tape player out and he was just sitting there and started to listen to his older tapes. He felt like, my God, can I not make a call on everybody who purchased this and pay them back and say, bring me those tapes back, because what did I think of preaching this? And then when years later you sit in a sermon, now what I mean by sit, you really, like I'm sitting in this chair, the sermon is so deep because of experience. And so many people give up on their dreams and their visions and objectives, and they want to bypass. It's like, I'm not negative towards TikTok. I'm on TikTok myself. But TikTok, that's what it is. It's quick and it's instant.
Yes,
It's,
look, even at the name.
yeah, and that's the name.
Yes.
It's like TikTok and you're out of it. People think that when they receive a dream, a prophecy, a word, that it must TikTok. There's a journey. But the journey is deliberate. The journey is about you as a person. God is after you. So when you go through that, He will never leave you.
Yes,
He will
sir.
never
Yes, sir.
forsake you.
Yes, sir.
Just do the journey.
Yes,
there's
sir.
another text that's helping us here. He will never test you above your strength.
Yes.
Meaning is like, you can handle this.
Yes.
I know.
I wanna jump in on that one. There's a show that plays on, I don't know which channel it plays on, one of these local channels, of people who won the lottery. I don't know if you know about that show. And they interview them like 3 months after you
yes,
find
yes,
someone
yes,
won
yes.
10 million or something. And then the guy's in more debt than he was before he won the lottery.
With 10 million.
And then they ask them questions and they're like, yeah, no, I thought the money was never gonna get finished, and I did this and I did that. And that just, I think, reinforces the point that you're making here by nothing's just gonna happen. And if it does just happen and you've never been equipped to deal with 10 million, you were making ends meet with your 5,000 rand every month, all of a sudden there's 10 million in your account. You know, you're not gonna know what to do with it and how to manage. In fact, it can be detrimental to your life.
Gentlemen, I have to stop you there. I have to stop you there. We are sadly at the end of our show. This is the book that you should get. And after every chapter, you will find a worksheet. You answer there to the best of your ability. You know, clear, direct questions to your own heart will reveal truth. And based on that, if you listen to the author, God had to rebuke him through the power of the Holy Spirit. That God said, why must I give you a new dream, a new objective, a new purpose and plan for the new year? if you did not fulfill the last 6 years that I blessed you with ideas, vision, objectives, beautiful ideas about business, books, it doesn't matter what it is. So what God is saying through this book to me and you today, this is a book to have. And we're busy with our book review. We'll have next week a new author on. But before we close, I want the author to look into one of our cameras, specifically that camera, and speak to somebody there that really wanted to give up on life and never wanted to pick up the vision, the objective, the dream, and the goal that was for so long in your heart. So from my side, before you get there, because I want to play out with you, Apostle Attie Van Nel, I just want to say thank you again for taking time out, and thank you for being obedient towards the Holy Spirit to write this book. If you didn't do this, look at the harm and the injustice towards the people watching and us having an interview.
My good Lord.
Look at the impact and where you're going, if it's corporate or church. So there are many people out there. They had such great dreams and vision and objectives in their personal life that they don't let it come to pass. I also want to thank Pastor Chancellor, and thank you so much for joining with us here today. What a great honor and privilege having you here from the Diamond City. And thank you so much for sharing your questions with us. And we're proud of you as young pastors.
Thank you, Doc.
We endorse you.
Thank you, Doc.
We lift you. We're proud of you because it just shows that our future, it's definitely safe. I want to thank Pastor Xavier as well from the Crystal family for tuning in, and thank you so much for your time as well. So at this point in time, Apostle J. Van Nel, why Mary didn't miscarry, and people out there that wanted to give up, what is it that you want to tell them?
Dear viewers of the Inside Show, when the angel came to Mary, the angel made Mary two promises. You are favored, and the Lord is with you. Say it with me at home. You are favored,
And the Lord is with you.
8 months later, she was on a 112-kilometer journey. Uncomfortable, treacherous road, dangerous conditions for a woman, pregnant at any stage of the pregnancy, let alone the 8th month. Enter Bethlehem. No private hospital, no maternity ward, no stock tea, no nurse, no doctor, no sanitized clinical environment. You are highly favored. The Lord is with you. She may not have felt like that. Highly favored and the Lord is with you does not mean the 112-kilometer journey does not await you. It merely means your favor and the Lord being with you, you will overcome it. So some of you and I found ourselves in positions so challenging, so traumatic, so unfavorable that we buried dreams that never died and walked away from them. The message of the book is simple. You are favored regardless of what your personal circumstances suggest, and the Lord is with you. The fact that you have adverse circumstances in your life is not proof that you're not favored and the Lord is not with you. The proof that you're favored and the Lord is with you is that you will overcome whatever awaits you.
Thank you so much. To our viewers out there, thank you for joining us again on the Inside Show. This book is available. You can just Google it. You'll find it. And we'll also have it on the Inside's website. You'll be able to find the track and trace the book. And if you want to invite Apostle J. Van Nel to your church, your organization, your company, you are more than welcome to do that. The details will also be on our website. From my side to you, I would love you to subscribe every single time. If you want us to, if you want to know if we're on, hit that bell and you will know every single time that we're on. See you next time, next Tuesday, same place with a new book review. God bless you. I love you, and goodbye. Good morning, everybody. It is so good to have you here with me.
Imagine if you have your vision as the car with the right team.
Imagine how quick that vision will come into the footsteps. Something that was taking 5 years takes 3 months. This morning is all about the leadership and influence.